We were halfway to the hospital when she said it. Just dropped it into the silence like it was nothing. I still love him. Her voice didn't crack. It didn't tremble. She said it like she was talking about the weather. Cold. Final. I remember the exact stretch of road we were on. Right past the Shell station with the busted neon sign, where the trees open up and you can see the hills in the distance. I had one hand on the wheel, the other gripping my coffee thermos. I didn't respond right away. I wasn't sure I'd heard her right. So I kept driving. Freya sat beside me, staring out the window. Her arms folded tight across her chest like she was bracing for impact. Not from the car, but from me. "You hear me?" she asked finally, quieter this time. I nodded, barely. I didn't trust myself to speak. My pulse was thudding in my ears like war drums. 15 minutes earlier, I was standing by the stove, pulling a lasagna out of the oven. It was her favorite, and I thought maybe it'd cheer her up. She'd been distant for months, checking her phone constantly, staying late at work, zoning out at dinner. I chalked it up to burnout. Or so I wanted to believe. Then came the call. Freya's college friend, Michelle, had called her in tears. Her ex-boyfriend, Ryan, had been in a bad wreck on I-84. Some semi ran a red light and slammed right into the driver's side of his car. He was in surgery. No one knew if he'd make it. Freya freaked. Full-on panic mode. Pale face, trembling hands, mascara smudged from the tears she didn't bother to wipe. "Can you drive me to St. Luke's?" she asked, voice tight. "Please." I agreed. I didn't ask why she couldn't go alone. I didn't ask why her voice cracked when she said Ryan's name. I told myself it was just shock. They dated years ago back in college. 7 years together, according to her. A big chunk of her past, sure. But still the past, right? We didn't talk much during the drive. I asked a few questions. How bad was the crash? Who called her? But she gave short answers. Eyes forward, locked on the horizon. She was shaking when I picked her up from the office. It wasn't just concern. It felt deeper than that. More personal. Then came that sentence. That sentence I'll remember for the rest of my life. I still love him. The words just hung there, heavy as stone, filling the space between us like smoke. I didn't slam on the brakes. I didn't yell. I just kept driving. But something inside me cracked open, quiet and wide, like a fault line. I stared at the road, but my mind was racing. How long had she been feeling this way? Had she seen him? Reached out? Had all those late nights at work been with him? I didn't want to know, but I had to know. How long? I asked finally, my voice lower than I expected. She didn't answer at first, just kept looking ahead. Then, after what felt like a full minute, I don't know. It kind of snuck up on me. Snuck up on you? Like a cold? Like a song stuck in your head? Have you been seeing him? That got her attention. She turned toward me, fast. No. God, no. I mean, not really. We reconnected on Instagram. Just messages. Catching up. It wasn't like that. I didn't say anything. Just let that sit. She went on, stumbling over her words now. I didn't mean to say it like that. Seeing him hurt, it brought up stuff I didn't realize was still there. I'm confused. That's all. Please don't read into it. But it was too late. She'd already said it. Not in a fight. Not in anger. Just calmly, in a moment of truth. We pulled into the hospital parking lot. I stopped the car but didn't get out. She reached for the handle, then hesitated. "Jason," she said softly. "Please." I turned and looked at her. Really looked. Her face was drawn, pale. She looked like someone who'd been living a double life and finally let the mask slip. "I'm going in alone," she added. "Yeah," I said. "You are." She got out and shut the door gently behind her. I watched her walk through the sliding doors without looking back once. I sat there for another 20 minutes, engine idling, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Trying to figure out how the woman I'd loved for nearly 5 years could say something like that and expect everything to stay the same. But everything had changed. And there was no going back. That night, I didn't go home. I drove aimlessly through the city, ending up at a 24-hour diner across town. I ordered coffee I didn't drink and stared out the window while the waitress filled sugar dispensers behind the counter. Freya hadn't called. Not once. Not a text. Not a missed call. Nothing. That told me everything I needed to know. By morning, I was parked outside St. Luke's, watching the sliding doors she'd disappeared through last night. I wasn't stalking. Not exactly. I just needed to see it. To see her come out. To know whether she stayed there overnight. Whether she even stayed at all. Around 7:40, I saw her. Same clothes, hair in a messy ponytail, eyes red. She looked tired, not like someone who'd sat by a dying man's bed, more like someone who'd spent the night in quiet panic, not sleeping. She got into an Uber and left. I didn't follow. I had what I needed. That same morning, I called the hospital. Used a calm, friendly tone. Said I was checking on a friend who'd been admitted the night before. Ryan Caldwell, I said. Car accident. Brought in yesterday. A pause. Typing. Then, yes, he's stable. He's in recovery now. Stable? So he's okay. He had surgery for a broken femur. Some internal bruising, but nothing critical. No head trauma. Should be released in a few days. Was anyone allowed to visit? Just immediate family. But his ex-fiancée signed in last night. Ex-fiancée. Not friend. Not acquaintance. That word made everything sharper. Colder. I hung up, thanked the nurse, and sat in silence. So she lied. Not just about how she felt. She lied about who she was in his life. And that's when it started to click. The months of distance. The restlessness. Her always turning her phone face down. The sudden interest in evening jogs she never used to enjoy. The half-laughs when I asked how work was going. The moments she'd stare into space during dinner, like her mind was in another room. No, not another room. Another life. Back then I'd thought she was tired. Or burnt out. I didn't imagine she was remembering someone else's laugh while pretending to smile at mine. I drove home slowly, the way you do when you know the place you're going back to isn't really home anymore. She wasn't there. The bed was still made. No signs of her getting in late, or even showering. Her closet door was slightly ajar, a suitcase on the floor I hadn't noticed before. Not packed, but not empty either. Like she had started to prepare for something, then hesitated. I didn't touch it. Instead, I sat on the edge of the bed and opened her laptop. I knew the password. We never hid passwords from each other. There had never been a reason to. Her browser history was cleared. Completely. Not a single entry. She'd never done that before. That was when the anger started to settle into something heavier. Something more focused. This wasn't just about a moment of weakness. She'd been planning. Hiding. Creating a space in her life where I didn't exist. And now Ryan was hurt. And that secret space had collapsed, and all the dust was landing on me. That evening, when she came home, I didn't say anything right away. She walked in, dropped her bag on the floor, and went straight to the fridge. Want anything? She asked. I shook my head. She poured herself water, drank half, then leaned against the counter like nothing had happened. How is he? I asked, finally. She looked at me, surprised I brought it up. Out of surgery. He'll recover. It's not as bad as they thought. That's good. Yeah. Silence. His sister let me see him for a few minutes, she added, like it was some small thing. I nodded. Then, did she also let his ex-fiancée in? That landed. Her eyes froze. Her lips parted just slightly. She mentioned you, I said. The nurse, I mean, said you were listed as that. Ex-fiancée, not friend. Freya's expression shifted, just a flicker. Then she set the glass down gently, carefully. I didn't think they'd still have me listed that way. But you were engaged? A long time ago. Before we met. I waited. She didn't elaborate. You lied, I said. I didn't. You said you were just friends. That it was old history. You never said engaged. That's not a footnote, Freya. That's a whole damn chapter you never let me read. She crossed her arms. Because it didn't matter. It clearly matters now. Her voice grew tight. Why are you interrogating me? He almost died yesterday. I stood, walked over, and stopped a few feet from her. And you told me on the way there that you still love him. So yeah, I'm going to ask some questions. She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again. We stared at each other. I didn't cheat, she said finally. But you wanted to. The silence after that was worse than any yelling. I turned and left the room. I didn't need her to confirm it. I already knew. I couldn't sleep. Every sound in the apartment seemed louder, more suspicious. The ice maker in the fridge startled me. My own breath annoyed me. Freya was asleep in the other room, or at least pretending to be. We hadn't spoken since the confrontation in the kitchen. She'd gone to bed without a word. I'd stayed up on the couch, staring at the ceiling like it could offer answers. Around 2 a.m., I got up and walked into the home office. I needed to know. This wasn't paranoia anymore. It was a matter of truth, of reclaiming the version of my life that made sense. Her tablet was on the desk. She always used it for light reading, or so I thought. I tried her usual passcode. It worked. Too easy. That was the first red flag. I opened the browser. Private mode, of course. Nothing saved. But the bookmarks, they told their own story. One caught my eye. A link to an old email client. One she hadn't used since college. I recognized the handle. She'd mentioned it once in passing. Something dumb like fay.moon88. I logged in. The password took 3 tries. She had reused something simple, probably never thinking I'd know this account even existed. Inbox. Mostly junk. A few threads with brands and old accounts. But then I saw it. One folder, buried under others. Titled Projects. Inside? Not work. Not hobbies. Ryan. Emails stretching back 6 months. At first, light and harmless. Hey, long time. Remember that road trip? Still listening to that awful indie band? Then it deepened. Talks about regrets. What ifs? What would you have done differently? Would we have lasted if we'd stayed in Boston? Then, more personal. Photos. A scan of an old concert ticket she said she'd kept. A screenshot of a dream home listing by a lake, the same one Sienna had mentioned. She hadn't just wondered about her past. She'd been actively building a parallel life with it. Every night, after I fell asleep early from work or exhaustion, she'd been writing him. Sometimes long essays, sometimes short lines like, I thought about you when I walked past that Italian place. Still the best lasagna I've ever had. Lasagna. I made her that 3 weeks ago, thinking it would cheer her up. She never said a word about it. The last email was dated 3 days before the accident. Just 3 words. I'm still torn. No response from Ryan. Maybe he didn't have time. Or maybe he didn't need to reply. She'd said what mattered. I closed the tablet, walked back into the kitchen, and poured a drink. I didn't even like bourbon, but it felt like the right kind of sharp for the moment. The apartment felt different now. Same furniture, same photos, same routines, but hollow. Like a stage after the actors have gone home. The next day, she acted normal. Made coffee. Asked if I needed anything from the store. Like we hadn't shattered the night before. I asked her how she slept. Okay, I guess, she said. You didn't sleep much, I said. Had some thinking to do. She nodded slowly, her eyes darting toward the tablet on the desk. She knew. She just didn't know how much I knew. Do you want to talk about it? She asked. No, I said. Not yet. Because I wasn't ready to talk. I was ready to watch. That night, after she went to bed, I installed tracking software on her tablet. I debated the ethics of it, briefly. But the time for trust had passed. I also started digging into Ryan. Socials were locked, but some things leaked. His accident had been posted on a local architecture forum, former coworkers commenting, wishing him well. One detail jumped out. Crazy how it happened just a few blocks from the old duplex. The old duplex. Their old place. What the hell was she doing near there? The more I thought about it, the more obvious it became. She hadn't just been missing the past. She had been rehearsing it. That night, lying alone in the guest room, I realized she hadn't fallen back in love. She never fell out. It was Isabel who reached out. A surprise text 2 days after I'd read the last message in Freya's secret email folder. Hey, can we talk? Just us. I think you deserve to know a few things. We weren't close. She was 6 years younger than Freya, just out of grad school, and lived across town. We'd always been polite, casual, sharing the occasional joke at family events. But something in her message felt urgent. Not curious. Not nosy. Urgent. We met at a diner. Neutral ground. One of those chrome-sided places with stale coffee and bottomless refills. She was already there, picking at a muffin. Her eyes looked tired. Like she'd been losing sleep too. I wasn't sure you'd come, she said, shifting in the booth. I wasn't either, I replied. But you said you had something I should know? She looked around. No one nearby. Just an old couple and a bored waitress. Then she leaned in. Freya told me about Ryan. About the messages. Not everything, but enough. I didn't speak. I just waited. She said it was harmless at first. That they reconnected because of some dumb meme. You know how it starts. But Isabel hesitated. It wasn't harmless. Not after a while. I finally broke my silence. How long? 7 months, maybe more. She exhaled. They started emailing first, then texting. Secret accounts, burner apps. She told me a few things she probably shouldn't have. Like what? She wanted to meet him, Isabel said. In person. A real catch-up. Coffee or something. I blinked. So, before the accident? She nodded. The day before, actually. Thursday afternoon. She told me she was nervous, but excited. My jaw clenched. And she didn't think to mention that to her husband? She said it was just lunch. A closure thing. I didn't buy it, and I told her so. We fought. I told her she was playing with fire. She said I didn't understand. She was right. I muttered bitterly. You didn't. I didn't either. Isabel looked guilty. I almost called you. I should have. I didn't want to destroy your marriage. But now I realize she already was. The coffee arrived. I didn't touch it. She never mentioned this meeting. Not once. Just talked about stress. About work. She said Ryan canceled last minute. The accident happened that evening. He never showed. So she would have seen him again. Even if nothing happened, she was planning to. She admitted that after the hospital incident, she told me she panicked because seeing him hurt, it shattered her control. She said something stupid in the car. She told me she loved him, I said flatly. Like it was nothing. Isabel winced. I figured. That's why I wanted to talk. You didn't deserve that. I told her as much. And what did she say? She cried. Said she didn't mean it, that she got confused, nostalgic. That it wasn't real. I shook my head. But it was real. That's the problem. There was a pause. Isabel looked like she was weighing something. Then she opened her bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She asked me to destroy this. I didn't. It was a printed email. From Freya to Ryan. Dated 5 days before the crash. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Jason is good to me. Safe. Kind. But sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if I just waited. If I'd trusted us more. I can't stop thinking about the lake house. I can't stop thinking about you. No signature. No emojis. Just words. Measured. Thought out. Chosen. I slid the paper back. Didn't need to read it again. Once was enough. You kept this. I had a feeling. And I was right. I appreciate you telling me, I said, standing. But I think I've heard enough. She looked up at me, concerned. Jason, what are you going to do? I met her gaze. Calm. Cold. What I should have done the moment I saw her reaction in that car. I'm going to make sure she feels what betrayal really tastes like. And with that, I walked out. Because now, I wasn't just the husband with questions. Now, I had answers. And I had a plan. She called on a Thursday morning. Her voice was thin, trembling, the kind of voice people use when they're walking a rope between guilt and panic. Jason, she said, he's taken a turn. Ryan. Internal bleeding. They're talking about another surgery. I didn't respond immediately. Let her sit in the silence. I just need to see him one last time. I need closure. I swear, I'm not asking for your approval. I'm asking for a ride. Please. I wanted to hang up, but I didn't. Instead, I said, be outside in 10. She hesitated. You'll take me. Not for you, I replied. For me. I want to see it. All of it. When I pulled up in front of her apartment, our old apartment, she was already on the curb. Hair pinned up, no makeup, eyes puffy. The Freya I knew would have never let herself be seen like that. She got in the passenger seat without a word. Just a soft, thank you, like we were strangers again. We didn't talk for the first few miles. Just the hum of the tires and the city passing by. You hate me, she finally said. Not a question. No, I said. Hate requires too much care. I'm just done. She swallowed that without comment. Looked out the window. He wasn't supposed to mean anything. You told him otherwise, I said, reaching into the glove box. I pulled out a printout, the same email Isabel had given me. Her words in ink. She stared at it. I didn't think you. You didn't think I'd know. Or that I'd ask questions. Or that you'd get caught, I finished for her. She folded the paper, slowly, like it might cut her. It was just a fantasy. Then go live in it, I muttered, eyes on the road. The hospital came into view. Memorial General, sterile walls, confused parking, and more emotion than any structure should ever hold. I won't stay long, she said, voice trembling. I just want to make sure he's okay. Sure. I nodded. Let's make sure. I parked. But I didn't kill the engine. She turned to me. Aren't you coming in? I am, I said. But I need a minute. She got out and walked to the main doors, a fragile silhouette against the concrete. I watched her disappear inside. Then I reached for my phone and called my contact. Room 614? I asked. Already set. Camera's live. Audio too. You'll get the feed once she walks in. Good. Let's begin. I took the back elevator to the 6th floor. Not through the visitor entrance, but staff access. A little trick I picked up during my time managing hospital security systems. Badges get copied. Routes get memorized. You learn where to move if you want to avoid attention. From the utility closet turn control room, I had a full view of 614. Ryan lay unconscious, oxygen mask in place, for lines weaving from his arms. His face bruised, legs suspended in traction. A nurse fluffed a pillow and left. Then Freya walked in. She stood frozen at the doorway. The feed picked up her whisper. God, you look awful. She moved closer. Sat on the edge of the bed. Brushed a hand across his forehead. I thought I was over this, she whispered. I really did. But the minute I heard about the crash, something broke. You were always the one I couldn't forget. I leaned closer to the screen. You made me feel things Jason never could. It wasn't just nostalgia. It was real. I just didn't know what to do with it. She looked down, wiped her eyes. Maybe you'll wake up. Maybe you won't. But if you do, I hope you remember what we were. I hope you felt it too. Then, the line that sealed it. If Jason ever finds out about the other letters, I'm screwed. I hit record. Let her hang herself. 10 minutes later, she left the room and spotted me standing down the hall. Her face went pale. Then she smiled awkwardly. He's sleeping. Stable. Thank God. I nodded. Let's go. As we walked toward the elevators, I said calmly, you said you wanted closure. I gave it to you. Hope it helped. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and showed her the live feed, her words on loop. She froze. You, Jason. What the hell? No more lies, I said. You walked in willingly. You said what you meant. That's closure. She reached for the phone, but I pulled it back. I have everything I need now. Her voice cracked. You were never supposed to hear that. I didn't look at her. And yet I did. We rode down in silence. Just the soft ding of the elevator and the sound of a woman who realized she just watched her last life collapse in real time. I waited 2 days. Not because I needed time, everything was ready, but because silence is a better teacher than rage. Freya didn't call. She knew what I'd heard. And she knew I wasn't the kind of man to make empty threats. Instead, she waited. And I planned. That Monday, I showed up at her office around noon. Her firm occupied the 17th floor of a sleek glass building downtown, all clean lines and false smiles. I was expected. Her supervisor, Martin, met me at reception. He looked uncomfortable. He had reason to be. You sure you want to do this here? He asked quietly. I nodded. She built her fantasy in public. She can watch it collapse in public. He led me to a conference room. Inside, 6 people, 2 of her colleagues, a woman from HR, Martin, her sister Isabel, who I'd asked to come, and finally, Freya. She was seated far into the table. Pale. Eyes already wide. Jason, she said, voice too calm. What's going on? I placed a small flash drive on the table and nodded to Martin. He inserted it into the laptop connected to the screen on the wall. No intro. No menu. Just the silent, grainy feed of her walking into hospital room 614. The footage began. No one spoke. At first, they didn't understand what they were watching. But when her voice came through, crisp and unmistakable, you made me feel things Jason never could. Every person in that room shifted in their seat. Isabel looked stunned. The HR woman blinked rapidly. Martin clenched his jaw. Freya stood up. Turn it off. Turn it off now. I didn't move. You want to know what loyalty looks like? I said quietly. It's me, driving you to see your ex. While you planned behind my back. Lied. Manipulated. While I trusted you. She stepped around the table. Jason, please. I turned to her. Please what? Don't let them hear what you said? Don't let them see who you are. The final words from the video rang out. If Jason ever finds out about the other letters, I'm screwed. Silence. Then I pulled a second envelope from my coat pocket and placed it beside the flash drive. Divorce papers, I said. Signed and notarized. My lawyer will serve the final version this week. All assets accounted for. I left your share untouched. You're free to be with whoever you want now. She looked around the room, eyes frantic. You planned this. Carefully. You humiliated me. No, I corrected. You humiliated yourself. I just provided the screen. Martin stood. I think that's enough. Let's clear the room. No, I said, louder. She doesn't get to bury this with closed doors. She used these people. Lied to them. Let them believe she was something she's not. They deserve to see the truth. I turned to Isabel, who was frozen. You wanted to believe she was just confused. That it wasn't real. It was real. She told him. She told herself. She just didn't expect to get caught. Freya's voice cracked. It wasn't an affair. You know that. I do, I said. It was worse. It was betrayal without remorse. Love without loyalty. You didn't cheat with your body. You used your heart like a weapon. I picked up the flash drive. I won't publish this. I'm not that man. But if you try to twist the story, play the victim, I will. And it'll be the first thing your next employer sees. She sat down hard in her chair. For the first time, she looked small. Not broken, just exposed. I turned to leave, then paused. One final line. Cold. Quiet. Absolute. This wasn't revenge, Freya. It was closure. The rest is on you. And I walked out. I changed my number the next day. Blocked hers on everything. Socials, email, phone. I told our mutual friends. If she asks about me, you know nothing. If she sends messages through you, don't deliver them. I wasn't being cruel. I was being final. Freya tried. I know she did. Isabel said she showed up at her place more than once, asking what I was doing, if I was okay, if I'd calm down. Calm down. The arrogance still burned through her words. As if what she did could be written off as a misunderstanding. As if trust was something you could rewind like a voicemail. I didn't respond. Not to the letter she left with my doorman. Not to the message she passed through my brother. Not to the bouquet sent to my office. No note, just white tulips. She remembered they were my mother's favorite. That's the level she was playing now, reaching for nostalgia to plug the hole she'd torn open. I kept my world tight. Precise. Focused. Work, gym, sleep. Repeat. I moved out of the apartment, changed buildings entirely. Chose a place with private parking, a lobby code, and no shared mailbox. Cut off all the soft threads where she could pull. Weeks passed. Then a month. Then 2. I saw her again only once. She was waiting in the office parking lot, standing near the loading bay, arms folded, staring down the asphalt like it might give her answers. I slowed as I walked toward my car, keys already in hand. She looked up. Jason. Just that. One word. Like we were still that couple with lazy Sunday mornings and burnt pancakes. I didn't stop. She stepped forward. Please, just let me say something. 5 minutes. That's all. I turned. Say it to the lawyer. It's not about the papers, she said. It's about us. There is no us. She flinched like I'd slapped her. You really feel nothing? I didn't answer right away. Just looked at her. The woman who once knew every scar on my body. Every fear I wouldn't say out loud. And now? She was just a stranger with my memories in her head. Feel. I repeated. Yeah, I feel something. She held her breath. I feel relieved. And with that, I got in my car. Her hand landed on the window as I closed the door. She didn't knock. Didn't beg. She just stood there. I rolled down the window an inch. Freya, I said, voice steady. You lost me the second you thought you could have both of us. She looked like she wanted to speak. But I didn't wait. I drove off. Didn't look back. Didn't have to. Some endings write themselves. And this one was signed in silence.